Meetup. We started these in May, and we already have September and October we've signed up the folks and we're ready to do them. So like I said, today we're really happy to have Dennis with us. He's the Senior Program Manager over at Microsoft for RDP and WVD, or Microsoft Remote Desktop Protocol and Windows Virtual Desktop. Do you like that, Dennis? I said it properly? So, and really smart guy. One of my favorite people I've ever met in the EUC space. So I'm really excited for him to, I don't even know what he's going to talk about, but he's going to dive deep and share about everything. And he like he said, he owns this stuff. He owns the RDP protocol. So please, this is your chance to ask him any question you've ever had, and maybe we can stump him. And if we do, he will have to reply to you via email. So we do have some upcoming events, like I said. So we do these things every single month. September, the next event, September 24th, we have Jeff Kohlberg with us. It's a 2-hour event, and we have 2 folks with us. The first one is Jeff Kohlberg, and he's one of our oldest IGEL employees, been around the company about 15 plus years. And he's going to talk a bit about IGEL and WVD and the integration between the two, the history behind that. This will be a really great technical presentation from Jeff. And Jeff knows IGEL as well as anybody. Then we have Christian Bermuda's back on, and he's bringing on one of his friends, James Mendor, and they're going to talk about basically dictation and what you need to do to optimize that for the best user experience. And then October, I'm really excited. We have Matthias Haas, our CTO, with us, and that's going to be a Q&A like we did with Jed or like we did with Frank Bierman, if you were a part of those. And if not, definitely check out the recordings. You can always get to the recordings on igelcommunity.com, and then go to the blog and then the meetup at the top, and you'll see all the recordings. We have also another Digital Disrupt. Disrupt is IGEL's conference. So on September 13th, we have Digital Disrupt in EMEA. So EMEA times versus the last one we did, which was sort of late at night for us people in EMEA. And we're going to have a full house of great presenters, the whole gamut. So definitely check out igel.com for more details on EMEA's Digital Disrupt. And for those of you that might not be IGEL community members, please join us. Join.igelcommunity.com. Head over to igelcommunity.com to learn all about what we're doing. We have a blog up there. We have all sorts of resources up there. But really what this community is about is each other. And it's really a true community. We chat, we have fun, we share, we help each other. So if you're not already a community member, please join us. Join.igelcommunity.com. And I think you guys will absolutely love it. So on that note, that's basically all I have for you. Dennis, are you ready to woo us?
I am. I even unmuted my microphone before starting talking. I can start with a slide deck. I have a slide deck. I have a lot of slides that I can share. But in any case, guys, type your questions in the chat window, because that's what I'm here for, to see your questions and answer them. And there is a great question in the chat. Will Windows Terminal Server die in the future? I have many ways of answering this question, specifically, most of them in a funny way. But yeah, Terminal Server has died like long time ago. We don't call Terminal Server, we call it Windows Remote Desktop Services. And this stuff is not going to die. It will stay a long time, because we need it for everything. Everybody wants remote work, and it's based on the Remote Desktop Services. Okay, so let's get started. Let me share my screen. And no.
And why Dennis is doing that, please don't use the questions piece. There's a Q&A piece, little button on the bottom of Zoom. Please use that for asking questions. And then if you just want to chit chat with each other, use the chat piece. But for questions, in this way, it's easier for us to see them and make sure we get to them and we don't lose them within within the chit chat. So please use the Q&A piece, and I'll monitor that and feed them over to good old Dennis. So Dennis, the show's yours. I'll mute myself and enjoy learning along with everyone else.
Thank you, Doug. So I will actually stop sharing my video to focus on the presentation. And here's my photo if you miss me already. So hi everyone, I'm Denis Gundarev, Senior Program Manager at Microsoft, working on the remote desktop protocol and graphics for Windows Virtual Desktop and on-prem RDS and everything around that. So today I'm going to talk about the RDP protocol and everything, not everything, but some funny things around it. So what do you know about the past of the RDP protocol? What happened in 1998? I don't know, do we have anyone in chat who already answered that? But there's a lot of things happened in 1998. Like, as example, I went to the Russian army and I spent nice 2 years there. It was my 1998. Titanic movie was released in 1998, one of the most successful movies in the movie history in terms of Oscar and in terms of popularity. One of the most popular or most evil corporations were founded at that time, and not founded, but actually released their first web search. And another thing that happened in 1998, it was first time when Microsoft released Windows NT 4.0 Terminal Server Edition with codename Hydra, and it was the first time when everyone got their hands on the remote desktop protocol. And the funny thing that the first version of the remote desktop protocol was 4.0, which is kind of confusing for some people because why it's 4.0, and many people think that the first version of RDP was 4.0 because it was released as a part of the Windows NT terminal server, which had the same version, which might be true, but I think I know why. So when the RDP protocol was released, it was released in the operating system that was back licensed from Citrix at that time. If you don't know, Citrix back in 1996, I think the Citrix licensed the source code of Windows Server, Windows NT Server 3 point something, and they added the multi-user functionality. And they added their protocol, and their protocol was ICA, and the version of the protocol was 3.0, because before that, Citrix had ICA version 2 for OS 2. They had ICA version 1 for their multi-user product, the first version of multi-user product that I don't remember was it even the graphical protocol or not, but in any case, there was 3 versions, and RDP was version 4, in my understanding, according to my knowledge, was version 4 because of that, to differentiate with the previous version that was used in the previous version of Windows that was distributed by Citrix. So,
hey Dennis,
yes.
Is it true that RDP morphed out of NetMeetings protocol? That's the rumor I always heard.
So, thank you, Doug, for this surprise question. So, what happened in 1996? Do you know?
Am I ahead of you?
Yeah. So,
awesome.
NetMeeting was released in 1996, and NetMeeting was the first product on the market that was using RDP protocol. The NetMeeting, even the first version of NetMeeting had a collaboration feature where you were able to share your applications, your Windows applications running on Windows 95 or Windows NT. It was using RDP protocol. It had the same type of handshake. It was on the wire, very similar to what you can see right now with RDP protocol. So the RDP protocol is really old, and many customers, many people think that, oh, it's so old that we need something new. But here is RDP, and it's a count of major features added to the protocol over the years. I did a little bit of research, going deep to the older release notes, internal release notes, to the commits to the source repo, and what I did, I basically counted all of the I went through the list of the features in the protocol and found when they were added to the protocol. And as you see, we were constantly evolving the protocol. We're adding features starting from NetMeeting protocol back in 1996, and with every release of Windows, we were releasing new version of the protocol, and we were releasing a lot of good stuff, a lot of cool features until 2007. So, Doc, do you know what happened in 2007?
That I do not know. My first child was born.
Great. Another child was born. iPhone. It was a year when exciting things were coming to the market. It was exciting things, and one of those things was iPhone, the first version of iPhone. Another thing, it was wow moment. Windows Vista was released, but the sad story about 2007, that it was actually the last time we were spending marketing money on promoting the RDP protocol. Remember Remote Effects? So Remote Effects was released around Windows Vista or Windows 7 time frame, and at that time, if you are long enough in this UC/server business computing space, you may recall that Microsoft was talking about remote effects everywhere. We even renamed most of the features within the protocol as remote effects, and many people were thinking that remote effects is a replacement for RDP. So we were talking a lot about the features, but since that time, I don't know, maybe we Microsoft ran out of money or whatever happened. A lot of innovations that were made in the protocol were very silent. We were not we had a blog post here and there, maybe some event, some webinar, or a few minutes in the marketing presentation at Ignite, but we were not focusing on talking about the protocol itself. We had a lot of cool stuff released that was using the RDP protocol, including the different Windows versions, or infamous Azure Remote App, or famous Windows Virtual Desktop. But in public presentations, we have not spent too much time talking about protocol. But it was evolving, and as I said, we were adding features constantly, and a lot of features that you are familiar with other products, with other vendors, they are in the protocol for a long time. We do have remote app or seamless app support since Windows Vista timeframe. We have true multi-monitor support, and true multi-monitor is 16 monitors and each monitor today can be up to 8K monitor. So it's like, and you can put your monitors in like any various configuration. So it's not just a line or square. It can be L-shaped or T-shaped configuration of the monitors. And we have this in the protocol since 2007. We have a print redirection. Remember all these times when like there was a lot of problems about printing on the terminal services. Many customers don't remember that because the times when the terminal server printing and the driver compatibility on the terminal server and on the client, those times were like a long time ago, and we do have easy print, which is PDF-based printing in the RDP, and it's pretty good. I don't see many customers are replacing it on the pure RDS solutions. We started doing remote effects, bitmap remoting, which is basically the graphics remoting. We started doing this in Windows 7 timeframe. We added USB redirection in Windows 7 timeframe. We added UDP transfer to the protocol back in 2012. I think we were like the first, maybe second after PCRIP of the widely used protocols that started using UDP. As you remember, Citrix did it a few years ago. VMware added it a few years ago, but we were using UDP for a long time already. We have multi-touch support in the protocol since Windows 8 timeframe. We have a full screen video encoding using H.264, full screen or partial screen when we detect the video. And this support for the video encoding was evolving with every Windows release, and even in Windows 10 with minor releases that we are doing with Windows 10, we were adding this, improving this functionality. We do have pen remoting, so you can take your tablet, you can take your Surface device with the pen, or you can take a Wacom or any other tablet device with the pen and use it with RDP without even installing any drivers. We do the Windows Ink remoting, and it works just out of the box. You don't have to install the drivers on the server side. It's a high-level device redirection. In Windows 10, we were releasing Windows 10 like every 6 to 12 months, starting from 2015. And we add in new device redirections. We add in some weird functionality like multiple pen redirection. Like how many customers you know that work with multiple pens simultaneously on the same tablet? Not many, but we do support them. We added the camera redirection, and your cameras can be redirected into the remote session as a high-level device. You don't need to bother with USB redirection anymore. We lifted some of the restrictions that we had in the, like, some limitations when we added the file redirection and file copy using the clipboard to the protocol. 4 gigabytes was, I think it was like twice the limit of most popular file system at that time. It was a long time ago. We added file redirection back in Windows 2000 time. And at that time, 4 gigabytes, nobody was copying files over 4 gigabytes. But now, like, people are copying ISO files when they do the remote administration, or they have like jump station in a different country to download some movies or doing something like that, and they copy like a lot of data, or they just work on the movies in the movie industry, because RDP is a protocol that is very good for the graphic designers and video editors, and those users have like really big files that they are copying back and forth. We are improving protocol with every Windows release, and those releases are happening like, as I said, every 6 to 12 months. We improve the protocol, we improve the remote desktop services infrastructure within the operating system. Actually, internally we still call it terminal services. TermSRV is our service that provide the multi-user functionality, and we're improving that functionality. We're improving the interfaces that are used to capture the graphics. And the good thing that it's not just for RDP. Most of our partners like Citrix, VMware, Nutanix, Teradici, I've worked personally with all of those partners in their integration with the terminal services, and helping them to capture the graphics in the best possible way, in the fastest way, and make sure that I'm making sure that they're using the latest APIs that we are adding to the operating system and to the protocol and to the protocol infrastructure, protocol provider infrastructure. And what we have today, it's we have full support for accelerated rendering, encoding, and decoding with GPU on both server side and the client side. Our RDP client has the lowest resource requirements across the industry. We are best in class. You can use RDP protocol on the cheapest devices that you can buy, and it would work brilliantly. We have more than 7 million daily active users that are using RDP on their daily basis. We have UDP as a transport. We have IPv6, full support for IPv6 across all the components. Best image quality. So the funny thing about image quality and the protocol comparisons. So you know, when like people are comparing the protocols, they compare the image, and many customers are comparing the protocols from the bandwidth utilization perspective. And I can admit that RDP is not the best on the bandwidth utilization perspective, but there is a reason for that. If you check the default settings for different protocols, you will find that most of the protocols in the market, they have their quality settings set to medium, or to 80%, or to use reduced color fidelity for the video codecs, like 420 color chroma. With RDP, since very beginning, our primary goal was to deliver 100% quality to the user. And back in times when we had the like old versions of RDP protocol that were using the GDI remoting, it was easy because we were remoting the basic functionality, and the rendering was happening on the client side. But today, when all the graphics is rendered on the server, and we just taken the bitmap and we need to send it in the most efficient way to the client, we use the adaptive codecs, our adaptive codec to detect different parts of the screen and use different codecs to different parts of the screen. Like we encode the text. When we detect the text, we detect it with we encode it with clear text codec. We use progressive encoding for the images, and our target, our North Star, is always 100%. And even if you will go to the group policies and set the quality like to medium or to low for the RDP transport, the North Star never changes. you lower, when you set the image quality to low, you set the lower boundary of the image quality. But if we have enough bandwidth, if we have enough resources on the server side and the client side, we will always send 100% image if we can do that. So we add in a lot of functionality. Some of the functionality is coming from the list on this slide. Some functionality is coming to WVD pretty soon, like HTML5 video redirection or UDP Shortpath. Some of the functionality is long enough in the protocol. And as I said, with remote desktop services, with RDP protocol, we released RDP protocol, a new version of the RDP protocol with every Windows release. But with WVD, our great new service that we have, we release RDP even more frequently. So I hope everyone knows what is WVD, and everybody at least try to use it or deploy it. And as you know, when you install, when you can deploy the WVD, you need to install the few of the components on your session host. And this component, one of the components is RD agent or RD bootloader. It's a component that downloads the rest of the WVD components and install them. And one of those components is installable RDP stack, or we call it side-by-side stack. It's a full package of the protocol, of RDP protocol in one MSI package. And this MSI package backports the RDP protocol to the older operating systems. Like, you know, we support Windows 7 with WVD. And when you install the, when you deploy WVD, you will have RDP version 10 on your Windows 7. We the side-by-side stack use reverse connect for the connectivity. It's a great solution to improve the security of your connections to the remote infrastructure. And the beauty of side-by-side stack that we can add innovations to the protocol without waiting for the operating system release. Basically, if we are adding the Teams support to the protocol, if we will stick with operating system release, it will mean that we have to wait, customers have to wait like 6 months until 6 to 12 months until the Windows 10 release, or if we're talking about Windows Server, it's like 3 years to wait for the feature, because like historically, you know that the way how the remote desktop services are deployed on-prem is you take the operating system and you take the functionality that comes with this operating system. And if you want a new feature, you have to move to the newer version of operating system. There is no like installable components because it's a part of the OS. With side-by-side stack for WVD, we decouple the protocol and we can move faster, and our customers can enjoy new features faster without waiting for the new operating system release and without rushing them into this new operating system release. Basically, if you deployed your infrastructure on Windows 10 1903 and it works fine, it works great, you have everything, you have all your applications tested, and it's like a long time to you to verify this on Windows 10 20 or 4. That's okay. You can continue to use Windows 10 1903, but you will enjoy the new protocol like everyone else on WVD. And when we were designing side-by-side stack, we were thinking a lot about the upgrade scenarios and supportability scenarios. And the side-by-side stack can be updated without even like disconnecting the user or restarting the machine. Like if we're talking about Windows 10 multi-session and WVD connected users, users connected with WVD, one user may use one version of the protocol, another user that comes later would use newer version of the protocol, and they coexist on the same machine. There's no need to reboot. Eventually, when you reboot your machine, or when user will get disconnected, this old version of the protocol would be uninstalled. But there is no need to do this to perform the upgrade. And same happens with rollback. If we deployed a new side-by-side stack to the WVD customers and we discovered that there is a bug, we can easily do rollback. And again, this rollback doesn't require any reboots or user disconnects. One of the features that are not in the protocol but in the core operating system itself, and one of those features that are pushing you towards to the upgrade to the new operating system is indirect display driver. So historically, when RDP became a protocol for delivering the graphics applications, we were capturing the graphics, not just the Windows or basic GDI coordinates. We were capturing the graphics, and to capture the graphics, there's a few APIs in the operating system itself, like desktop duplication, etc. But the most efficient way was to use the display driver. And when RDP started using display driver, it was actually Windows 2000 timeframe. And since that time, we were using the display driver model that was called, at some point, it was called XPDM, then it was renamed to XDDM. It was even renamed to the XP driver model. But you get the point. It was an old driver model that was running the display driver in the kernel mode, and this driver model for the regular drivers for the GPUs, it was deprecated in Windows 7, and it was completely removed in Windows 8. But RDP and ICA and some other protocols were still using the legacy driver model. And because it was a legacy driver model, we were using some workarounds to pass some frames, and there was a lot of memory copies, and it wasn't ideal. So starting from Windows 1903, or yeah, I think it was 1903, we switched to the brand new driver model for the graphics. And from the customer perspective, it doesn't make too much difference. Like if you're running basic applications, you may not notice the difference. It will be the same image, the same quality, nothing else. But on the internal side, we are removing at least 2 copies of the memory. Like every time when we do the remoting of your screen, it's a bitmap. It's a bitmap of this in the size of your monitor. And previously we were copying this bitmap twice, and now we're just reducing those copies because we're accessing it directly. The new driver works in the user space, and if there is a bug or user is doing something to like trying to brake the driver, it will happen just in their session, and this session will be just reconnected. While in the previous driver model, it would be blue screen of death. Performance-wise, this interface is much faster. I had a comparison videos that I forgot to add to this presentation, but trust me, even in the basic scenarios like basic office office graphics, just the rendering of the screen may happen like 10 times faster. On the high resolutions, on the 4K displays, applications can render up to like 4 times more frames per second, and the higher the resolution, the more advantage you will have from the IGD driver. And that's one of the reasons why you should move to the new driver model. So if you to the newer operating system, if you are willing to use like 4K displays, you will have more FPS on Windows 2004 than you would have on two-year-old Windows 10 that was released like in 2018. So make sure that you are updating your operating system. And if we're talking about WVD, you can do the in-place upgrade for operating system for the WVD hosts, session hosts. So as I said, with IDD, we moved driver to the user session. It improved the performance and reliability, and it may provide functionality for the future development, for the new features that would come later. Now, where is IGEL fit into this story? So a lot of things happen in the protocol. We add in a lot of functionality, and what we found that like when you talk to the customer, sometimes customers are saying like, oh, okay, so you guys are using RDP. RDP is okay, but we want that protocol or this protocol. And the question is like, I'm asking like, why you think that RDP is bad, and they say like, oh, I have this thin client, and it's a crappy experience. So, okay, I'm like, the answer that Microsoft had at in previous times was always like, okay, so you're using Linux client, we don't support Linux client. You have to use Windows. And that was a long story, and there are vendors that are producing thin clients with Windows, and they are more expensive. Customers don't really want to use them, and the thin clients that are based on Linux at the same time, they were using most of the thin clients on the market today. They are using the RDP client that is based on the FreeRDP. FreeRDP is a great project. The great guys wrote they created the client based on the open specifications that Microsoft published. But most of the developers are working on this project in their free time, and they might be not up to date to the features that Microsoft is adding to the protocol. They might not have a need for this feature themselves, and that's why they're not developing it. Or like in case of camera redirection, they might not have the need for the camera redirection itself, and they don't know it. And the problem with thin clients that we had for RDP, that all of them were based on the FreeRDP. Most of them were based on FreeRDP, and the performance wasn't good, and it was making the RDP look worse than it is. And what we have decided that we will build our own RDP client for Linux. But you know, there's a lot of versions of Linux, and like getting into that space probably can take a lot of time, and that's where IGEL came. And IGEL came to us and said, like, we will help you. We will build your SDK. We will use your SDK in our clients, but we will work with Microsoft to improve it. And that was a great help. That like one of the best collaborations that I've seen in my career. And IGEL took our SDK. They built their client for WVD, and it works great. It has the functionality that we want to see in the protocol client. It is up to date to the developments that we are doing on the protocol side, and it will automatically get new features when we will release them. And those features are sometimes very important for the protocol itself, for the development. One of the features that I'm working on is RDP Shortpath. RDP Shortpath is a feature for WVD that provide the direct path, the direct connectivity between client and the VM. So if you're familiar with WVD, you probably know that on WVD, we're using broker, we're using the gateways, and the connectivity between client and the server happens over the gateway, which is great because we're using side-by-side stack with reverse connect functionality, so it's very secure, there's no inbound ports, but at the same time, you are dependent on the gateway, and the gateway adds a little bit of latency. It may introduce some of the delays on the network, and at the same time, we are not using UDP for the RDP transport when we are working with side-by-side stack on WVD. So there was multiple goals, and a lot of them are all of the goals that we had. They are improving either reliability of the connection or performance of the connection. And we want to use UDP as our primary transport for RDP protocol, and the RDP Shortpath feature is bringing UDP to WVD. There would be two releases of the Shortpath. One is coming very soon, and it's called RDP Shortpath Private. It is designed for the managed networks, like your express route or your VPN connections, or even public IP connectivity. Basically, your client have to have direct line of sight to the session host. And the next feature would come later, probably next year, which is Shortpath Public. It's a feature that is designed for the unmanaged networks, when you don't manage the network where your clients are sitting on. And it would be like best effort attempt to establish the direct connection. So talking about Shortpath Private. Shortpath Private is a feature that coming pretty soon. We planning to start the private preview of Shortpath Private, private preview of Shortpath Private, yeah, in September, and leading to the public preview later this year. It's a feature that will add UDP for customers that have either express routes or VPN or public IP connection. It requires the incoming port opened on the session host. You don't have to open RDP port. And I can, if you have questions about security of this, I can briefly describe it. Basically, there is no authentication happen. There is no key negotiation, we are basically switching from one socket to another, and your connection is established over TCP first, and then just switch to UDP. So there's no no backdoor for you cannot connect directly to this UDP port because it's a dumb port that doesn't do any authentication. It's just accepting the already encrypted traffic. You will have you will see the shortpath functionality in both client side of WVD. You see it in the connection information dialog box, and all the information about UDP connections is also added to the diagnostics that you can access using the log analytics. Yeah, as I said, we are targeting private preview in September and public preview later this year. The next feature that is coming that I'm really excited is Shortpath Public. It's a feature that is based on the set of the protocols like STAN, TURN, and ICE. So what is STAN, TURN, and ICE? STAN is Session Traversal Utilities for NET. ICE is Interactive Connectivity Establishment. It's a set of technologies that is used it's a common thing to use across the protocols. Microsoft Teams is using this set of technologies. Skype, I'm pretty sure Zoom use it. The WebEx use a lot of communication applications using it. Every time when you hear that some application is using WebRTC, it is using the set of STAN, TURN, and IC technologies plus some additions on top. So in RDP, we will be using the same set of technologies to find the direct connection, and we will collect the candidates for the connections on both client side and the server side, and this would include both IPv6 and IPv4 addresses, your VPNs, and Wi-Fi connections or 4G connections or 5G connections. We will exchange this information between client and the server and try to establish a direct connection. As soon as this direct connection is established, we will switch all the traffic to the UDP. And like connection flow from the user perspective would be the same. You have user connecting to the WVD using standard gateways, standard brokers. But after the connection is established, we will, in parallel, we will try to establish UDP. And if this is successful, we are switching everything to UDP, and it will bring us a lot of good things like stability and performance. Another thing that we recently added to the protocol for WVD specifically is support for Microsoft Teams. So why this is important, I hope everybody knows why it's important, but I want to just highlight it. We do support device redirection with RDP for a long time. You can redirect your microphones. You obviously can get the audio back from the remote desktop. We added support for the camera redirection pretty recently. But what is happening when you open the Microsoft Teams or any other communication app on your remote desktop, your video, as example, is captured by your camera, encoded to the H.264 stream, sent to the server over the RDP. Then it is decoded, presented there on the screen, and then this decoded video is captured again, re-encoded, and sent back. It is also sent to your party, to someone who you're calling with. So there's like a lot of unnecessary steps happening with the video and with the audio. So when we were thinking what we can do to improve the user experience and reduce the load on the servers, because this re-encoding, decoding and re-encoding consume a lot of CPU, especially if you have just CPU and you don't have a GPU, it will take a lot of your resources on the server side. So we decided to just do the peer-to-peer connection from the client to the client, and this will improve the performance and the user experience in general. And this functionality is available today. It can be used with WVD today, and you can deploy it and provide your feedback. So, Doug, do you have questions so far? Because I have a choice. I can switch to the Q&A or cover one small topic.
We do have a lot of questions. So, but why don't you continue along, and then we'll take the questions at the very end. Does that sound good?
Yeah, yeah.
Perfect.
So another topic that I want to cover is RDP profiles. It's a feature that is part of the protocol for a long time. Ignore the Microsoft confidential for internal use only on this slide. I don't know how it got here. It shouldn't be there. It's not confidential. RDP profiles is a feature of the RDP protocol that is well known for a long time. And basically, in a nutshell, what is this? So when we process the video, when we process the graphics from the server side to the client side, we use what we call graphics pipeline. When we take the images from the desktop compositor and analyze them and send them to the client. So we are using different techniques to detect the frames that have no new information. We do the classification of the frame to find where is the text, where is the image, where is the video. We're trying to use motion detection, progressive encoding, caching, a lot of different like components within the protocol to analyze and better compress and better deliver the desktop image. And a lot of different features, and you know, Microsoft Windows is a product that can run almost anywhere on cheap hardware. It can run on expensive hardware with GPU, without GPU, but a lot of those components can be and should be fine-tuned for different environments. And to fine-tune it, we call like we have a set of different sets of configurations, initial configurations, default configurations for to start the protocol. And we call it RDP profile. So it's basically initial set of frame processors, codecs, and codec settings. Those profiles, they are dynamically selected. You can find this information in the event log. When you establish the RDP session, you will get the event 162 in your event log that will show you which version of the protocol you use and what is your initial profile. And there are a few profiles that you can find like in real environments, actually just 5 of them. We have more, but some of them are just for like debugging purposes, for internal purposes. So you can see that some numbers are skipped here. So the balanced profile is the default profile that we use when we detect different parts of the screen. We analyze where is the graphics, where is the text, where is the video, which parts of the screen are moving. and encode those differently. So we call it balance profile. You can use the same balance profile, but set the maximum compression for the data. So by default, we're trying to balance between the resource utilization and network utilization. But if you feel that network utilization is more important to you, and you can pay for this by using more CPU for like bulk compression of the data, you can set the maximum compression profile. We also have a lossless profile for the graphics. So by default in RDP, we use lossy compression. Basically, we analyze the graphics, we analyze the frame, we do the lossless compression for the text, and lossy compression for the images. And even we have like 100% quality of the image, it is still the image that might have some slight artifacts or some effects that might be, most of the customers, they will not notice it. But some customers that work with like medical imaging apps or anything similar to that, like medical imaging, they really should work with the images in the same form as they were rendered by applications. For those users, we have a lossless profile that can be configured using group policies. We have a thin client profile that is used on our ARM-based Windows clients, and we have a full-screen AVC 444 profile, where when we use the video codec for the whole screen, and we compensate the gamma to make sure that we have like a high color accuracy. Those profiles, you can see them, you can find them in your environments when you analyze the event logs. And those profiles can be configured using group policies. The difference between when I'm saying configure it using group policies, you may see that the policies often say prioritize or configure or enable something. And the reason here is that we cannot force the profile. You cannot force the profile using the group policy. Because, as example, if you would set the graphics profile to the video, full screen video encoding, it should work in most of the cases, unless your Windows session host is Windows 10N edition, or some other regional editions that doesn't have Windows Media Foundation because of the some legal stuff. Or if your client is Android, as example, but this Android doesn't have the CPU that have H.264 decoder or anything like that. So you can prioritize, you can hire the priority for the profile, but it's not guaranteed that this profile would be chosen for the connection. And so those profiles can be prioritized, and I highly recommend when you deploy any kind of infrastructure, use the group policies to adjust the quality settings if you need it. Because some customers, they are willing to, they want to optimize their environment for their needs, and the group policies are actually the right place to start for optimization of the RDP protocol. And now I am ready to Q&A.
Okie dokie, Dennis, that's great. So, I mean, that's just absolutely great. That's more than I wanted. I love it. Thank you so much. Guys, I hope you, enjoyed this session also, and we'll get to Q&A. So if you have any Q&A questions for Denis, please use the Q&A piece and ask away. So let's get to this. So Denis, my bud, let's first question. I need my glasses. So are there any updates for RDS on Windows Server planned for the future that will incorporate some of the WVD features, such as Teams AV redirection?
So as always, I can't promise anything until it's released. But just for like basic understanding, how we do develop the stuff. So I don't know, maybe because we are lazy, maybe because we are smart, but we do the development in the same place for everything. Basically, when we developing some features for WVD, because it's our main product right now, we are focused on WVD. We are developing if those features are related to the protocol itself, we are developing them in the operating system repo, which means it will get to the operating system sooner or later. Some features doesn't make any sense outside of the WVD. Some features do make sense. Some features are dependent on third parties. So, as example, WVD, Teams support. We need to work with Microsoft Teams folks to understand their support strategy for that, because they do not support RDS as a platform because it might run on some unexpected hardware, etc. But the technology is basically there, and if there would be a decision from the Teams folks that they want this support on RDS, we can basically enable it on RDS because today it's a part of the code. It's in the protocol that the support is there. Most of other features are already in the protocol, and there's no point to take them off. Like, we are developing some privacy security features that would surface first on the on WVD side, because we're just releasing them earlier there, but they will resurface on the client operating system in the next 6 months, and the next when Windows Server release, when it will be released.
Perfect. And I think you discussed this one, but I'll ask it just to make sure that we ask every question, right? When does UDP support when will UDP support be added to Azure? It's still not supported by WVD, Azure AD, App Proxy, Citrix Cloud, and then make UDP great again.
So, as I said, RDP Shortpath is a feature that brings UDP to WVD, and we are targeting private preview pretty soon, September, October timeframe, public preview later this year. So, and GA as soon as we will find that quality is great and customers are happy. So yeah, it's coming pretty soon. If you are deploying your own deployments on Azure, you can use UDP right now. So UDP is a part of the protocol. It's just disabled, I would say, in WVD today, and we are re-enabling it and making it great again.
Great. So this is sort of an interesting question. So a real obstacle for us switching to WVD with IGEL is the lack of serial port redirection, COM port mapping. We have endpoints in a medical environment that need to accept data via serial port for USB serial adapters. Can this please be added? It works well in RDP, but it is not available with the IGEL WVD client. First of all, is that an IGEL issue, Denis, or is that a WVD issue? It's a WVD? How do we solve that?
So I would say it's an IGEL issue that can be routed. Like I don't know. I honestly, I don't know. Do we have serial port redirection in the SDK? And if we do, then it's your issue. If we don't have that, it's our issue. We have the serial port redirection in the protocol, obviously, and it works great. And even if it doesn't work as your applications want, you can always have like partner solutions. We have a great partner called Fabotech, which I know work with IGEL as well on some of the projects, on some of the redirections. So I'm pretty sure that either IGEL on its own can solve it pretty quickly, or we can work together to verify why there is no support for serial port redirection.
You mentioned the SDK. Can you talk a bit about RD Core and what this means in this SDK and how IGEL is developing toward using that?
So basically, historically, we had when we had the first in the early beginnings of RDP, we had RDP client for Windows. Everybody knows it. It's MSTSC. You can embed it with ActiveX to your own clients that you're producing. But we at some point we got the Mac client that was custom developed for Mac based on the Windows client. It wasn't really working great at some point, and I don't know, like about 7 years ago, we acquired a company, don't remember the name right now, that a lot of smart guys there, they built like really nice clients, and they built really nice clients for multiple operating systems. And they had client for Android, for iOS, for macOS. I don't remember HTML5 is it coming from there or not, but what they did, they had like a component called RD Core. And when we acquired this company, we onboarded this component, and we made it like an engine for all of the RDP clients that we have. Unfortunately, except the MSTSC. MSTSC is still in the old legacy code, and all of the clients like Linux, Windows Store client, iOS, macOS, and Android, they are based on the same core. And we are actively adding features there. Like our engineers are working on adding UDP to the RD core. And this RD core that we're using as a platform for many clients, it is the same platform, the same core that is used by IGEL to build the WVD client. And every time we add in the features, IGEL will get those features just immediately in the protocol. So you can expect the feature parity.
Perfect. I love it. Is Azure Bastion part of WVD?
Azure Bash?
Bastion? Am I pronouncing it correct? You see the question there?
No. Part of the BD? No, I don't see it. I don't see the question. Next question, please. It was a nice question. Sorry.
Next question. I looked it up. It was I had to look the thing up. I can't repeat it back to you, but I looked it up briefly. But I was trying to pay attention to you, so I didn't read the whole thing. Will Microsoft ever support the ability to use only a subset of displays on the endpoint? For example, a user has 3 screens. They want to run a local app on one of the 3 screens and use the remaining 2 for their remote session. This is something long supported by Citrix and is a major issue for us when trying to migrate someone to WVD or straight RDP.
So instead of promising anything, I will just share my screen really briefly. We do support selective monitor configuration, and I believe that the way how we support it is the best on the market. Nobody do this like we do. So first of all, here's the RD client. I can add more applications here if you like, but if you have a publisher desktop, you right-click on this desktop, you see the settings. You see the settings, and here it is. Like by default, it's use default settings. You turn off default settings, and you can either use all displays, you can select single display, and it will be your main display, or you can select displays. You can like select 2-in-1, or you can select 2-in-3. Like, I have 3 monitors, but if you have 16, you have all 16 monitors here, and you can choose different options, like what happens if you minimize the window, like, or you go off the full screen. So the multi-screen configuration is very flexible in RDP, and it's more intuitive, in my opinion, than anyone else, because like I know with Citrix, you have to move the window between the monitors if you want to maximize it, to both monitors. At VMware, it's kind of similar. We have actual UI for the configuration of the monitors.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. Okay, so regarding RDS remote app scaling, on a single 4K screen, it scales with the client settings. On multiple screens, there is no more scaling. App will run at 100% scaling, although both screens are set to 200%. Server is 2016 standard, client is Windows 10, 1909. Is this expected behavior?
So it might be expected behavior for 2016. It shouldn't be like that in 2019 server. It's definitely not like that on Windows 10 multi-session or just Windows 10. Basically, and correct me if I'm wrong, the question was about remote app specifically.
Yes, correct. Remote app
Yeah.
scaling.
Yeah, so remote app scaling should work like if you have monitors with different scale factor, remote app on server 2019 for sure. Haven't tried in 2016. Should work as you expect it to be working. So it would do the proper scaling when you move the window from one monitor to another. And the same actually works for the full desktop as well. You can have different monitors with different scale factor, and those would be presented to remote host.
Perfect. Here's a really good question, and I've heard this from many people, sort of in the rumor mills and what have you, right? Will Windows Server stay a multi-user operating system, in the future, or will Microsoft basically remove that, multi-user features and move it over to Windows 10 and WVD? Make sense?
So yes, it's a very popular question. So first of all, a lot of rumors coming from the fact that one of the Windows Server Insider releases were released without RDSH role. It was a bug. It was actually a bug. I mean, the insider releases, they are not intended for the production, and everyone knows that you just verify them and test them in your environment. And the Windows roles there. So that was during the time frame when we were building the Windows 10 multi-session, and both server and the client, they are built from the same same source, just with different packaging mechanism. And when we were adding this Windows 10 multi-session, when we were adding the multi-session capability to the server, or to the client operating system, there was basically a bug in the one of the XML files that describe what should be in which edition of Windows. That's like what happened that time. But like for the future, like what are our plans? So I can tell you for sure that there is no plan to get rid of RDSH. Like there is nothing on the roadmap. I can't tell you for sure that it wouldn't ever happen, but for foreseeable future, like we don't discuss this. We don't have any plans. I like there's some people think, and like even I myself before joining Microsoft, I was thinking like having multi-session client operating system is a great replacement for Windows Server. And like on a personal level, not like don't quote me as a Microsoft employee. I would rather see the same multi-session everywhere, but you know, the licensing, all other aspects, they are very different between WVD and on-prem environments, and that's outside of the technical skill set that I have. So there's no plan to get rid of Windows Server or for RDSH role in Windows Server. The next Windows Server for sure, unless something would happen, we would have RDSH role. Again, that's not official statement because we are not making those official statements. But there's no any plans. Like I doubt that if it happen anytime in the foreseeable future.
Perfect. Is WebRTC P2P connection already supported right now in RD Core for Linux?
If we're talking about the Teams, the Teams is not supported on Linux yet, but I know that there's some work on making it happen.
Perfect. This is the last question we have. So if you guys have any more questions for Denis, please put them in the Q&A piece down there at the bottom of your screen, and we'll have them answer them. If not, this is the last one we have. So let's see. Will Microsoft ever support Windows 10 Enterprise multi-session on an on-premise deployment?
I can answer this pretty simply. We do support it to run for, like, if you need to build the image. So it technically works. And nobody will come and persecute you for just running Windows 10 multi-session on-prem, because if you need to prepare the image, you need to download this image and run it on your Hyper-V. But we will support it from the supportability perspective, and you can call Microsoft and say well, something doesn't work, or I cannot connect using RDP to my machine that run multi-session. That I can't tell you. We do support on-prem deployment. We will support it on Azure Stack. It's not applicable for everyone, but that's one of the ways to bring Windows 10 multi-session on-prem. We will support on other platforms. Time will tell. I don't know. Even if I know, I can't tell that because there's a lot of money involved. But it's possible, but there's no promises. Absolutely.
Fair enough, Denis. Fair enough. I think that's everyone's questions. We scheduled for an hour and a half. We're right at just 5 minutes short. So I think we did a good job on time management. And Denis, you did a great job. It's always so much fun to have you, to chat with you, to see you, and you did an absolutely great job. So if somebody wants to learn more about what you're doing, can they follow you on Twitter, LinkedIn? Or maybe learn more about RDP itself and what you're doing? What do you recommend?
Yeah, follow me on Twitter. I didn't put my Twitter handle on the chat, but my name is pretty easy to find on Twitter. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Yeah, send me emails. If you have a feedback, we have a user voice for RDP. Just Google remote desktop user voice or remote desktop feedback, or use Feedback Hub within the Windows operating system. Every time when you see the bug, or every time you want to propose the feature, use the Feedback Hub within Windows. We really get this feedback and really read this feedback. So yeah, I'm always happy to answer questions, especially technical ones, not like the planning questions, but yeah, feel free to send me email or shoot me a message on Twitter.
Perfect. Dennis, thank you so much. And of course, thanks everyone for joining. We had a great turnout today, and it's absolutely great to do these. I love these monthly meetups. And so definitely stay tuned for the September and the October meetup. And hopefully maybe we can have Dennis back on in the future. That would be a pure joy. And Dennis, I look forward to seeing you again in the future if we can ever travel again, right? So,
thank you, and thank you for having me here, Doug, and thank you guys for joining the session.
Thank you all. And don't forget, join the IGEL community, igelcommunity.com. So on that note, we'll call it a meetup. So thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.
Cheers.